Okay, today my guests are the people I've probably known the longest at Immanuel. Uh, she was my fifth grade teacher. He was my eighth grade teacher. And you know them as Mark and Bobby Stum. However, I will only refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. Stum from here on out. So welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Stum.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Mr. Merck.
Uh, no, it's just Bill. Or Billy, it depends.
I was just going to say, it's Billy.
That is true. So, how are you guys holding up during all this? How are the kids? How are the grandkids? How's everything going during this pandemic we're having?
Yes. The boys are fine. Mike and his wife Cheryl are in Pennsylvania, in Bucks County, and he's a policeman there. They have two girls. One of them is supposed to get married on June the 5th, but that's not going to happen. We're trying to figure out, she's trying to figure out, she and her fiance, what they're going to do next. So that's still to be determined. And our other son, Dave, is married to Lisa, and he has two boys, and they live in Texas. And they're having just as much trouble with this coronavirus thing going on as we are here. So it's hasn't changed out there either. But we're doing well. Everybody is maintaining good health. Mike had a bit of a scare because he was exposed with what he does as a policeman.
Right.
But it came back negative. So far, we're doing well.
Excellent.
Well, it's been good. My knees are a little sorer than usual from praying things through and saying, Lord, help my focus to be where it's supposed to be. Because I'll focus on all the problems and the scary part. And then I just have to say, Lord, my focus needs to be on you. So
That's true. So I'm going to go into a couple questions that I've always wanted to ask teachers.
uh-oh.
So first off, how long did you both teach? Now, I know you were also an administrator, Mr. Stum, but how long did you guys actually teach?
44 years.
And I was about 38 years.
Okay, so what do you miss most about teaching?
The kids. Loved the kids. Absolutely loved the kids.
Okay. So do teachers have favorite students?
Yes and no.
I was just going to say, technically, no. Realistically, yes.
So who's a better kind of student, a goody two-shoes or a class clown? What did you like better?
Well, one of my favorite students was both. They were a class clown, but they were also very good. And she was a student that I had in Philadelphia. And I told the administrator there, I said, she's only in the 8th grade right now, but if you could hire her, you should do it because there are only about 5 people like her in the world, and you really ought to get her. But she was unique. She wasn't perfect, but very good.
Okay. So
I would say the class clown is a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoy, as long as they know that cutoff. And sometimes you have to kind of guide them along there. The goody two-shoes only if they're sincere. You know, if they're just putting on a front, it's very frustrating because they won't let you get in under that front.
okay, I've always been curious, never being a teacher. Okay, so do you ever find certain behaviors and certain names, such as, are all Billies funny? No.
Well, let's see. There was Billy Merck, and there was Billy Mercer. You would know Billy Mercer probably.
I do.
Those are the two Billies that I can remember having.
Well,
and that's both good.
Oh, okay. Well,
both good and both memorable.
Oh,
in a good way.
No, I was just
okay. I didn't know how to take that one.
One thing, it's very difficult to name your children when you've been teaching for about 10 years because there's a certain name. You say, oh, no, I remember that name, not that one. And so with both of us being teachers, you know, there were some names I thought, oh, that would be great. And Mark said, remember some? Said, oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go. I like to do a little different segments and stuff. So this segment I like to call a deep dive. So, Mackenzie, Tennessee, December 23rd.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What happened then?
We got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't advise people to get married around Christmas, especially teachers, because on our honeymoon, I had to take homework to grade while we were gone. But the reason we were married in December is because the summer before, I had worked as a summer missionary in Philadelphia with a young couple from Oklahoma and the girl from Texas. And so that was a great experience. But after that, we got a letter from the Baptist Student Unions in Tennessee. They said, next year we need to have Black students and young married couples for our summer missions program. So we figured, well, we probably have to do that by getting married earlier than we had anticipated. We were going to be married in June of '68. So in order for us to be able to go on summer missions, we moved our wedding date to December 23rd, school break. And so we got married then, primarily so that we could go on summer missions in '68. And so we got married, and we did go on summer missions in '68 to the Cherry Hill area.
And that was assigned. It wasn't something that we chose. That was just where they assigned for us to go, which was
Wow. So now, how did you guys meet?
We met in college at Bethel College in McKenzie, Tennessee. I had gone home for Christmas break, and Bobby started school not in August or September, but she started in January. So I got back to school from Illinois, and I went to church that night, sat down by a lady who was kind of one of my adopted parents. She and her husband adopted Baptist students at the college where we attended. And so I sat down with her, and I looked up in the choir. I saw somebody I didn't know, and I liked what I saw. So I asked Mrs. Wells, I said, "Who's that?" She said, "Well, that's Bobby Baker." I said, "Where is she from?" She said, "New Jersey." New Jersey. Only girls I knew from New Jersey, I thought were kind of like knife fighters, you know. And I thought she looked pretty nice. So I talked to her after church, and I would never ask somebody to out that quickly, but I did anyway. And so that's where we met. She was in the choir. I saw her and said, "That'll do."
So where was your first date? You said you asked her out. Where'd you guys go?
We went to a restaurant in McKenzie. I can't remember the name of it. I should though. I think it was a coffee shop.
like coffee shop.
Because later we were there with some of our BSU kids, and tornado went through and blew out a window right where we were sitting.
Big plate glass window.
Wow.
And, so we were all kind of diving underneath. But that's where we went. That would have been our first impromptu date.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're getting a little bit of history. So what exactly is your history with Immanuel? So I know that Mike now is a police officer, but used to be the youth pastor. But what actually is your history with Immanuel?
Can you pick up on that?
Oh yeah, Bobby has a lot more of it than I do.
I started going to Immanuel in 1961. I got saved. Our neighbors across the street invited me to go to Billy Graham Crusade with them. So we went on the Immanuel bus, and Madge and Don Richter belonged to Immanuel. So we went on the bus. We went to the Billy Graham Crusade. I got saved. And since I came on the Immanuel bus, when they asked me where I go to church, I said Immanuel Baptist. And I've gone there ever since. The next night, my mother went with us, and she rededicated her life to the Lord. And we were both baptized there at Immanuel. That would have been right around 1961. So I went to church there until I went to college. And then, of course, when I'd come home, I'd go to church there. And then we lived in Palmyra, and Mark went to church with us there until we started teaching at Bethel. And then it was kind of advised that you would go to the church that housed the school, which was great. So we went there as long as we were teaching. And then when we were no longer teaching there, we rushed right back to Immanuel. It was during that period when we were at Bethel that Mike was actually the youth director at Immanuel. My mother and dad were members of Immanuel. My dad got saved, got baptized on Father's Day, and they have gone there since 1961. My mom, anyway, since 1961. So that's a brief, rushed history.
No, that was a great job. You did well. Okay, we're gonna I have an Eagles hat here, and inside this Eagles hat are would you rather questions.
Oh.
And they're silly, they're stupid, they're whatever, but I just randomly pick it. So Mrs. Stum, you're going first. So your question would be, A, would you rather be forced that every time you hear music you have to dance, or B, every time you hear a song you have to sing?
B. I'm not much of a dancer, but I sure do love to sing.
Okay.
That was an easy one. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I did the hat. You could thank the hat. It's just some people have gotten like, would you rather bite your nails or eat your nail bitten? I don't know. There's gross ones, and then there's some that are pretty deep. So, okay, here we go, Mr. Stum. Yours is. Every time you read, would you rather read every word out loud, or every time you sing? Wait a minute. Every time you open your mouth, you have to sing. So, would you rather A, every time you read, you have to read aloud, or every time you open your mouth, you have to sing?
I think read. I like to read. I like our church library. I keep a lot of books out of there. And,
Yeah.
I read a lot. So I'd take the read.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then last thing is, I've had a lot of cool pets in my life. I've had all kinds of different animals. You guys had ferrets.
Two at different times.
How was that?
We like them.
Well, that was Jody Hatzikorzian's fault.
Okay.
She had a friend that she knew who was going off to college, and he had a ferret, and he couldn't take his ferret to college. So she was looking for somebody. This is when we were both teaching at Bethel. She was looking for somebody who would take a ferret, and we said, well, we only have a cat. We might as well take a ferret too. So
Yeah, we like the ferrets. They're kind of like they're always kittens. They don't get to be like a cat. They just stay kittens. And I had to give them a bath because even though they were deodorized or destinkered or whatever they do to eliminate that smell, they do still get to come out smelling a little bit like a zoo in July. So I used to put them in the bathtub, and I'd wash them down and soak them up with Avon Skin So Soft. And they smelled really good. But neither one of them lived a long time, and we don't know if that had to do with the Avon Skin So Soft or just they have a short life expectancy.
Now, do they just wander about, or are they?
Oh yeah.
well, they had a cage, so
Yes.
that when we were out of the house, they were usually in the cage. But they use a litter box just like a cat, so there's no mess. They're very curious, though. They will climb in anything. They will go any place that they can fit, and they're long and slinky, so they fit in a lot of places.
All right.
They like to hide things. We could never find socks because the socks would be under the sofa, under the bed, under anything that they could put them. So we had to go searching for socks. They always put their toys under the sofa and then couldn't get to them. So we always tied a string on their toy so that the string would hang out and we would pull the toy in. But they were wonderful, wonderful pets. It was interesting having to let the ferret out at one time and the cat out at another, but they managed to deal with it, and so did we.
Oh,
We took one of them
Yeah.
camping with us, had it on a leash,
Yeah.
walking around the campground, and they draw a lot of attention.
oh
Two
yeah.
of the campers came up and said, "Oh, we used to have a ferret." Said we'd take them out hunting. We'd put them down a rabbit hole. They go down and they'd flush the rabbits out the other end, and we sit there with a club and club them. Not the ferret, but the rabbit.
Yeah.
And then they'd have rabbits too. So they used them for hunting because the rabbits like holes, and the ferrets, hey, that's fine with them. So they just go ferret out the rabbit.
That's where the term ferret something out comes from, because that's what the ferret was used for. Ours was
I learned something new.
learned.
You're still teaching me.
Also had to cut their fingernails, but they were pretty good with that.
Yeah. That's so cool.
They had claws.
I would have ferrets without a drop of a pin if they didn't make the house smell like a barn. You know, it's embarrassing. But I love them. They're wonderful animals, wonderful pets.
That's
We
awesome.
have a cat now though, and I love her.
Yeah, I'm a cat guy.
Yeah.
I have a couple cats.
Yeah,
My one cat is like, I guess she's a runt, but she never grew, so she looks like a kitten.
Aw.
She's not, but she still plays like she's a kitten too. So I don't know. She's the sweetest little cat. Actually, she's
Yeah.
sitting right next to me because
Aw.
anywhere I go, she follows. Okay,
That's cool.
so we're gonna totally change up again, and now we're going into the final frontier here. So, what person of faith inspires you?
You want to go with Billy Joe?
Person who probably inspired both of us at the same time was our Baptist Student Union director. BSUs are bigger in the South. Like if you had a group of Catholic students, they would probably be in a Newman club. If you had a lot of kids on your campus who were Baptist, they'd be in a Baptist Student Union. Actually, two of the people I worked with in summer missions, that's what they did as their career. They were Baptist Student Union directors at East Central University in Oklahoma for their entire working career. But our Baptist Student Union director was Billy Joe King, and he was the person who introduced us to practical Christianity.
Yeah.
Live it. There were times when we had a Baptist Student Union house. I remember once he said we had an electric bill, and it was like $56.61. And there, so later a check came.
They didn't have the money because we didn't have the
Yeah.
money.
So a check came in, and it was for $56.61. It was just incredible.
Mm.
He just depended upon the Lord to provide all the needs of our Baptist Student Union. We did a lot of weekend revivals at churches that we could get to from campus. We had a singing group, and we had. Well, he was a very good musician. He was a good organist, pianist. He used to play for military services when he was stationed in Korea, and now he's still playing, and he's very old now, and he's gotten to be quite the historian in West Tennessee. But he was just the one who taught us to live your Christianity every day, but it was just very practical. What we needed things for our Baptist Student Union, we prayed.
We prayed for people.
And
If there was a student that was having a rough time or that had just wandered away from the Lord, we would get together in the library and kneel down and just pray for them and pray them back to the Lord. And we both referred to it as our practical Christianity.
I love that. So, what's something that we can pray for you guys for?
Well, right now we'd like not to get this coronavirus. We've kind of moved up into the age where you're a little more susceptible to things. So
A little more deadly.
we've kind of hunkered down, and we are staying home. And that would be one thing.
I would have to say too, just decisions that we need to make as we're getting older. Do we sell our house and get something smaller? Do we get into like a 55 and over situation. Mike would like us to move over closer to him so he can kind of take care of us, per se, better and be more available to us if we need him. So that's a big decision to make. So that would be one of the things.
Oh, we will absolutely be praying for that. So lastly, the time is yours. What would you like to say to the Immanuel family? The floor is open, whatever you'd like to say. Keep it nice.
Immanuel is such a part of me. I loved Pastor Mitchell when he was there, and when Pastor Vince came, it was just like a younger Pastor Mitchell again. Their mannerisms and all are so similar, and I love Pastor Vince. And I would say Pastor Mitchell and Pastor Vince are two of the people that had a very direct influence in my life and my Christian walk. And I really, really miss our fellowship together. I understand the reason for it, and I think that Pastor Vince is doing the right thing, but I will be so glad when we can get back together. I love ladies' Bible study, and we can't do that, and there are things that I just really miss. But I love the choir. I can't sing anymore. My vocal cords just don't work as they should.
I'm in the choir. I can't sing either, though. Let's be honest.
And I loved choir. I love our choir. I'm excited about this elevator. I think it's going to be a whole lot easier for some of our more senior citizens than we are. And eventually for us, if we're still here, you know. But no, I love the church. I miss being able to fellowship together. But I love the way Pastor Vince is doing things. Pastor Vince and Pastor Greg. I love the way they're doing things with having them, you know, sitting there and preaching to us or talking to us, and having people sing and the music in the background and all. It's a very wonderful way to do it, but it doesn't take the place of sitting next to somebody, you know, and just having that one-on-one contact. I miss my ladies.
You got anything? You miss being up there with the brass?
I do. I enjoy getting to be up there and see where you're sitting.
Keep an eye on you.
It's a nice vantage point. You know, you kind of realize, oh, those people aren't here this week. Their seats are empty. But Immanuel is a special place. I think part of the uniqueness of it is the fact that Pastor Vince is there and he lived all around it.
Yes, that was so cool.
We started off across the street at OLPH, and it's just a unique situation, and you can just see how God has used him, and now to have Pastor Greg on, they are a dynamic duo. They really are, and just the others on the church staff. It is just so family. A neat place.
Well, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And stay safe. And we will talk to you guys later.
All right.
Okay, thank you, little Billy. It was so nice.
Thank you.
It was very nice to be interviewed by
You may go to the bathroom now. See ya.
You get the pass, though. You need a bathroom pass.
You got it. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.